Hello, this is Kevin Crane coming to you for Eclipse Corporation. If you are a programmer, analyst, or IT professional, you won't want to miss this video.
Welcome to part 2 of the static versus dynamic form video. In this video, we're going to look at the DocOrigin design and the anatomy of the form structure for each type, specifically the form, page, container, and pane, and when each apply. When building a new form in DocOrigin Design, you will always get a form, page, container, and pane. The pane is only required for a dynamic form. Looking at the DocOrigin design, every object is represented both in the Form Explorer as well as the canvas, which is the center of the form with the ruler. The hierarchy goes first the form object, second the page object, then a container, and lastly a pane. There can be multiple pages, containers, and panes, but only one form object. Let's take a closer look at each piece of the puzzle. The form object is a part of any form, whether it's static or dynamic, and is always at the top of the hierarchy. It is where you define form scripts, paper handling, and printer configurations. The page object is also a mandatory part of any form, and is the second part of the hierarchy. Here you can define paper size, orientation, paper handling, page scripts, and name the page according to the page function, such as backer, as well as the main page or overflow page. The container property is primarily defined by the position tab and is a mandatory part of a dynamic form, but not a static form. It's the third part of a hierarchy and defines the pane's boundaries, such as a margin. It's a simple yet critical function of a dynamic form. The container can have an unlimited number of panes. The way it works is, when the data is merged with the form design, panes will be instantiated as necessary and flow down the container until it's filled up. Then it moves on to another page with its new container, and the pane starts flowing down that container. This process is repeated until all of the document data is completed. Last but not least is the pane object. This is a mandatory part of a dynamic form. It's the fourth part of a hierarchy and is always falling under a container. It is like a section of the form, such as a header or a detail line, and is similar to a subform in other design tools. It can be triggered by an object in the data or inserted by a script, mandatory option, or overflow of a header or footer. There are key properties to determine its behavior. Due to the importance of a pane, let's look even further into its pane properties. The first option is mandatory, which means this pane will be laid whether there is data or not. This might be for something like a logo and company name, or it might be simply a line at the bottom of a table that closes a box. The next option is the allow multiple, and this is generally used for things like detail line items that repeat for as many occurrences as you have details. The allow split option determines whether you want the entire pane to be pushed to the next page if the container cannot fit the entire pane on the current page, or if you want it to split up into multiple pieces. This would be typical for things that contain multiple child panes, such as a table that has a header pane, detail panes, and footer panes, or a comments field which can grow substantially. The force page option simply means that if this pane is called, you must bring it to a new page. This would be typically used for something like a backer. The allow break before and after are similar in concept. This simply says, can this pane be by itself at the top of the next page? For example, if you have a totals pane, you do not want to allow split before a totals pane, but typically would like to bring one detail line over. This concept would also apply to a signature area where some of the content of the terms and conditions should be above the signature. The layout in multiple columns option allows the user to fill a page in column format. This is simply defined by defining the parent pane as the width of the container and then its child pane or panes half or a third of the size. If you define a 4-inch pane inside an 8-inch pane, it will fill in 2 columns. Also, DocOrigin knows to balance load the content, so you'll never get a full column on the left side and an empty column on the right. Minimum height allows you to define the white space of your pane. By default, the minimum space is 0.001, which simply means that you only want the pane to lay down whatever the content fits within that area. But in some cases, you might want the full space of the object to be drawn. For example, if you want some white space at the bottom of your pane, then you can simply draw it out visually to show 0.1 inch at the bottom, and then define the minimum height to be the full object's height. The overflow page simply decides if you want to repeat the same page and container if the pane overflows within the container, or do you want to overflow into an alternate page. The overflow footer defines what panes should be laid down on the current page before the current page is overflowed to a new pane and container. Overflow headers are simply the opposite, meaning if a pane overflows, what panes, if any, should be laid on the next new page before laying down the current pane. Join us in the next video while we do a live video demonstration of a static and dynamic form. Thank you.
Want to find out more? Just go to eclipsecorp.us and check out our other videos. That's eclipsecorp.us. Or call us at area code 678-408-1245, extension 2. That's 678-408-1245, eclipsecorp.us.